My favorite arcs and my favorite characters are all here. I think it's like the highest rated seasons too of Monogatari on Anilist. So yeah, I'm sure we'll be able to see some really good things. And
Building up
hopefully
my
Serby will like it.
expectations.
Yes, I am. My favorite VA will soon appear, and I will make it very, very clear that she is.
Does my favorite VA show up?
I don't know. Maybe one of them will become your favorite VA, but I
don't know. It's a high
feel
bar.
like you will like this particular arc very much. It's just a guess.
Nice.
We'll have to see. Open up your own copy of the episode and sync it up with the timer that will appear within Serby's hands at the end of my countdown. I'm going to start the episode in 3, 2, 1, play.
Still a lot of OUGI. I'm pulling in imaginary numbers into this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what they're trying to say with that.
Who could say?
I was always the solution.
Are those eyes or pistachios?
It's honestly perspective, really.
Oh, it's a story about mathematics.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
I hate math. It's never bad at math, but I never liked doing math.
I know very few people who do like doing math. Oh yeah, baby. Gotta say though that OUGI's OPs are really hype.
I mean, I like it already. He's waiting for like a bunch of weapons to come out of Oki's sleeves like a Jiangxi.
The only person who has weapons come out of their sleeves is Senjo Kohara. All this time, OUGI was actually a Persona character. I'm sorry, Aurora. You can't say I've ever been in this kind of situation before. This is usually just an anime protagonist thing. I mean, it is something that Arugi really needs to work on.
Mm-hmm.
He's always just relying on himself and throwing himself into danger. Oh no, we're trapped in another SCP survey. Getting
There's
kind of
no
deja
escape.
vu. Didn't this just
Oh,
happen
no.
in Chainsaw Man? God.
Well, we're a week behind, but yeah, just happened.
Yeah.
Suspicious.
Apparently. Sure. So yeah, we're kind of like jumping a little bit back in time before
I
like
figured.
her introduction to Nisei to the very first time they actually met. Yeah, there's just randomly extra space. The audio-visual room is just longer.
Mm-hmm.
Not really 50, more like 40. You don't say. Not ominous at all. There is
No.
absolutely nothing wrong with going with OUGI.
Mm-mm.
How strange! I never knew this was here. Oh.
Oh, Bogey.
Wow. You have any theories, Serby?
Mm, Still working on it.
Still
I
sounds
have a
like you
few
just
thoughts.
woke up.
I mean, I did, but
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts. They're just all kind of disconnected. Yet I'm putting them together.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I will say though that this is actually going to be the most Danganronpa we'll ever get in Monogatari.
Yeah, yeah.
Why? Why that chair?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Danganronpa because my thought was it definitely seems like we've missed things. He keeps talking about events that should have been like not long ago, but
Yeah.
it kind of gives the vibe that they were longer than he thinks they were.
Hmm. We can tell that Aragi's having like flashbacks to something that happened.
Mm-hmm. Like something's missing in his memory and he can't quite find it.
Hmm. And then he's just doing all these things without realizing it, which is really funny.
Yeah.
Ogi's just making fun of him for all this.
And our Ogi's like stealing it from him.
Hmm.
The more he shows her, the more he takes from her. Take, I said that backwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh, well, that's fun. Schloopy 4.
I mean, this is what sitting in a classroom kind of felt like.
Swimming?
No. It felt like I was drowning. Like it was tough to breathe. Like, God,
Oh.
how can people learn in this kind of environment? Definitely not creepy at all.
Are we losing more color as it progresses?
Yes. Why? I never knew that it was in there.
Oh no.
July 15th should even. I think that's before even Kizu. Oh my god. This is also the first day they met.
He definitely feels like she's putting him in like a trance.
Mm-hmm. Class trial. Okay, no, calm down.
You're into the Twin Tail Zero?
It's not really her design. I'm not gonna say anything though. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Armin from Attack on Titan.
The whole cast. Extraordinary class meeting. It's very much is just Danganronpa.
Very much so.
I feel like it has to be intentional at this point.
To be fair though, Niseo Isin's like first few novels were always like detective stuff and like always trials and stuff going on. I believe it was I forget the name of it. It didn't really do as well as Monogatari obviously, but it was pretty much like Danganronpa. Like they
I
had a
wouldn't
bunch
be
of
surprised though either if he did. He's made other references.
yeah, like I believe in that novel there were like a bunch of geniuses who were like the best at what they did, and then someone got murdered, and so they had to find out who did it. Yeah,
Gotcha.
Yeah, very familiar. Oh.
I miss long hair Senjukahara.
I did like that shot where they only showed half of his face.
Mm-hmm.
It still feels like the information is incomplete, and Aragi might be only relaying half of what he knows.
Or his Monokuma.
Yes, that's exactly what it's trying to say. Oh, Sodachi.
It's like the spinning in the Danganronpa class trials. Watch, Araragi cheated.
Oh no. I mean, Aragi's sense of justice probably wouldn't allow him to.
No. Araragi has an Ahoge, so he could be a Danganronpa protagonist.
Definitely. This classroom, though, was just ripe for environmental just storytelling.
It's so sparkly right now.
This shot, though, God.
We love a 3D camera.
Perhaps. Oh,
It's a fun setup.
very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for me to put you through Danganronpa.
Oh no, the tables have turned it.
It is possible to logic things out before the next episode. You can try if you want.
I feel like there's definitely a lot of individual parts that were presented that I'm not sure how they tie together.
Thankfully, unlike some of Nisio's other works, where like you can't get the answer right because the main characters don't know all the information, which frustrates some of the readers, from what I've heard. In this case, we do have most of the information that we need. We are missing a few players in here, but with some, I guess, common sense reasoning, you could potentially have an idea what went down during that study session. Okay, so we have our setup, and of course, the one who's taken Araragi back through all of this has to be OUGI, right?
Yeah.
Something that has happened in Araragi's past that he's apparently forgotten about, which is interesting. But
that
it is something
the
that's
course of his life.
Yeah, it's something that's so incredibly important to who he is as a person, and yet he kind of decided, or maybe unintentionally, completely forgot about it. Something went bad this trial, and that's not a spoiler. We can obviously tell that something did not go right here, and Araragi just did not want to remember this at all.
Maybe it's something like Senjugahara is the one that cheated. And he's like, I couldn't possibly believe it.
They didn't show Senjugahara when they were raising their hands for who actually went to the study session. So
they
like
showed names, which I can't read, obviously.
There were only names because they're pretty much unimportant characters. But yeah, the entire case is that the people who went to the study session have about a 20 score higher than anybody who didn't go to the study session. So the assumption is that the people who did go to the study
exactly
session,
what they needed to study.
And that's what Oikura, our new character over here, suspects, which is why she called this class trial.
Maybe she's the culprit all along.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I'm thinking of what would be a twist. The one who calls the meeting is the culprit.
We also have this setup in the very beginning of the episode too. I guess we can go back to that. It does not pursue individual happiness, but only cohesion constructed from consent. It's about our expression of inequality. And as you know, the very beginning of each arc is just a setup for the rest of it. So yeah, tying this into the class trial.
It really ties in because it's like, if you know what's going to be on the test, you're making a more equal ground to study off of.
It's the only true thing truly invented by mankind. This is also the ugliest expression in human history. A little bit cryptic, but like once you actually know the answer, it all just comes together and makes so much sense. I am not going to say anything at all about the class trial because I can't say one thing and you'll probably be able to go from there and figure out who actually did it. But yeah.
I currently only have 3 named characters in the trial, and I don't even know Senjugahara's, if she was at the study session. I don't know if, what's the president's name?
Oikura Sodachi.
Oikura. I don't know if she was at the study session either.
The information that I can tell you is that both Oikura and Senjugahara did not appear when they were asking who went to the study session. So assumedly, no, they were not at the study session. And Oikura was the one who called everyone here because she wasn't there and something sus happened. For me, I'd probably think a motive first.
I feel like the motive that has been implied to us is equality.
We also have another clue. All of these events happened before even Kizu. And when we met Araragi during Kizu, he was a very strange person. He kept saying things like, I don't need friends. Having friends make you weaker as a human, right? Or something along those lines. And apparently whatever happened here is the reason why he became like that. Why he mistrusted everyone. Why he said that he did not need friends anymore.
Like in Danganronpa 1, if you run out of time or fail too many times, they just select Makoto as the culprit.
So
they couldn't come to a solution, so they just blame Araragi.
oh god. It's just so hard to point you in the right direction. I'm trying so hard. There's literally just like one obvious thing that I can say that I would think of, the first very thing that I would think of when I'm thinking of who's like the culprit in Danganronpa. But like, interesting to note that Kanbru's the one who introduces OUGI to Araragi. And they kind of emphasize that because if it wasn't really important, they probably wouldn't show it. I don't really know what the connection is there. Ogi kind of comes in as like the Kohai. So she's like in the same year as Kanbaru. And I guess she kind of used Kanbaru to get to Araragi. Even though she claims that she's Oshino's niece, but she has to use Kanbaru to get to Araragi somehow. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
No worries.
I think I might have to think on this one.
What do you think the classroom is? Do you think it was created by Ogi? Or was it created by like the lingering feelings of the people during this class trial? Or do you think it was created by Araragi?
I think it's either Ogi or Araragi. It feels like Ogi's playing at Araragi to get something from him from this scenario. So I feel like this room, while it's connected to it, isn't made by it.
What do you think Ogi is trying to get from Araragi by forcing him to relive his past here? Something that he doesn't even want to remember, apparently.
She needs some sort of information from him, is what it feels like. She's like digging at him, trying to get him to say more.
That would be what the line that she often says suggests, right? I don't know anything, only you know everything.
Like everything she does in this classroom is basically leading Araragi to whatever ends she's trying to get from him. Even like things like, you go take a seat. Well, why'd you pick that seat?
Yeah, it's like she has everything planned out. I feel like Ogi in this situation is kind of like the judge, or also kind of like the detective figuring out the case.
But it feels like there's a goal, and she's building the scenario, so she's still in control, but she's trying to get the one thing that she doesn't have yet out of him, whatever that is.
She's kind of helping him while also kind of pushing him into a place that she wants him to be, which is what we also learned in the previous arc, Suki Monogatari, where someone is directing everything, right?
Yeah.
And this is the very first time they've met, and Ogi is acting awfully familiar with Araragi already.
Yeah.
I am surprised that Araragi isn't feeling a bit weirded out by this.
It says she kind of feels like she has him in almost like some sort of trance, like hypnotic state to kind of get him back into this and relive these memories.
If that's the case, it could potentially be that this classroom doesn't even exist to begin with. He's just hallucinating everything at this point.
Or it could be that this classroom was structured by Ogi to induce that kind of state.
Also a good theory. As the classroom does change depending on how the conversation is moving, we're not really sure if it's simply because it's reflecting the emotional state of the person who this classroom was created by, or if the classroom is manipulating the person's emotional state. I don't know. It could go either way.
Well, you have the interesting, just like they're kind of trapped there in that point in time, which also reflects kind of the situation of Araragi's going back to that point that kind of changed him, however that is.
That is an interesting point to bring up. It's kind of like you're stuck in the past, like literally now. It's something that instead of overcoming, he's decided to bury deep down. And there were, I think we did point them out, but there were some shots where they kind of like covered up Araragi's face just a bit in order to kind of like hide his other eye. In that instance, I would guess that Araragi is kind of like telling half-truths. I feel like Araragi actually knows who the culprit is, but he did say that like they never found out who the culprit was.
The classroom makes me think again, because it definitely seems like it's leading and not being led. Like, because there's a point where Araragi is like, what date is it? And it tells him specifically on the chalkboard. Ogi's like,
yeah, it just
right
randomly
there.
appears. Yeah. Like, oh,
like, that's
wow.
definitely the case of it putting him right there back in that.
And then he reaches into the desk, and then his old notebook from his first year comes out. Wow, how incredibly convenient, says Ogi.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Ogi and the classroom are leading him back here.
So yes, in the end, he has to go back and face this traumatic event, which I'm going to assume is traumatic because he buried it deep down and it changed him so fundamentally that he acted like super edgy and cool. Like, I don't need friends at the start of Kizu. He has to figure out, finally, who did it, which I'm going to guess that he knows, but he just doesn't want to accept it. or he's simply averting his eyes from the truth.
That makes me go back to like Sensugahara, because like who would he not want to be the culprit? Like I said before, we only have several characters that we know by name and that have any sort of like quote-unquote importance in this scenario. None of them were a part of the meeting, Araragi included, so I feel like whatever's responsible is outside of it.
Right, well, I'm gonna throw you this one bone and we'll see what you do with it.
Nothing, I'm stupid.
Oh my god. The first thing that I think of is who benefits from this?
The school. You could say the class president if it represents her class, but
Alright. Well, I'm not gonna say shit about that. I was avoiding saying that, but apparently it was okay to say that. Gives you something to think
I'm
about.
Stupid.
But yeah, it's gonna be super fun. The reveal when it finally hits, man.
That's my favorite part.
Like I so wish that I could forget about Monogatari and just rewatch it for the first time again.
I mean, that's why when I play games like Danganronpa or watch anime like that, I don't try to guess things too hard because the reveal is half the fun.
Yeah, that is true.
Just that mind-blown moment of, oh god, it all makes sense now.
I do think that Owari as a whole, it's very, very fun to make theories on Owari because OUGI kind of becomes a lot more involved in the story, and when OUGI's involved, mysteries are afoot. So yeah,
that's my favorite.
We're gonna have a lot of mysteries to solve here.
OUGI's the best. I love OUGI.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Later, my dudes.
Bye bye.